Well, hello, welcome back to Tale 3 Cabins. Last year, a company named Newair reached out to me and asked if I wanted to test out one of their 12-volt coolers. At the time, I did not foresee the use for one in our personal life, what was going on, but that has changed. And I reached out to them this year, a little while ago, and I knew that we were going to be tearing our cabin down in southern Ohio. And that we were going to be off grid there for a little while we do some prep for the new place that we're putting in. And we weren't going to have any power, any electricity, and that we're going to use some alternate methods if we're going to be spending some time down there to keep our food cool. So I reached out to them and they were kind enough to send me a 48 quart 12-volt cooler that can be powered in 3 different ways. They make various sizes, but I didn't think we needed anything larger than the 48 quart. They make, I believe, 80, up over 100, around 110. Let's get this baby out. Just a quick overview of this cooler. It has 2 compartments that you can adjust the temperature on either side, so you can make one a refrigerator type temperature and then one more of a freezer. You can make them both a freezer or you can make them both a refrigerator. So on either side you can take the temperature down as low as to -4. So there is an AC adapter, so if you want to plug that into the wall outlet. If you want to plug that into your car as you're driving down the road, you can also do that. And you can also separately purchase a battery that will just plug right into the side of this cooler, and it will give you a various amount of time depending on temperature and the temperature you set in the compartments. So we'll go over that in a little bit. Now if you look at the compartments, they're fairly deep. They come with little baskets. You're going to be lugging this cooler around, and it doesn't seem very heavy when it's empty. You can go inside, go in the refrigerator, grab the things that you're going to need, put it in the basket, and then just lower it down into your compartment. The door can be hinged on either side, so you can pull this door open, pop it out, and set it on the other side if you needed to reverse that for some reason. And that could come in handy if you have this in the back of, let's say, a hatchback car. You loaded it in, and you want to be able to reach your food from the inside now. While you're driving down the road, you can simply pull this off. Pull it off, reverse it, and then if I were inside the car, I grab some food. So pretty easy. Also in the door is a built-in cutting board. So if you need to chop some vegetables, or you're making shish kebab or something around the campfire, you can have a little handy cutting board. Fits right inside the door. When you do open this door, there are 2 LED lights on the side that will illuminate this, so if it's dark outside and you're reaching in here and you're looking for a regular beer instead of light beer, you can have a little illumination just like a refrigerator when you pop the door open. On the side is a bottle opener, so that comes in handy, well thought out. You also have a nice handle that pulls out and you can wheel this around, make it a little bit easier to wheel around. Then at the bottom of the compartment is a drain plug if you need to wash this out or if you spill some sort of liquid in here. First thing I'm going to do is hook it up to a power station and run it off of the DC outlet on that power station. It immediately starts to trickle charge the battery, especially if you do not have the unit on, the refrigerator unit. And according to the power station, it's pulling around 21 to 23 watts. Now once you turn the unit on, you can set temperatures for the separate compartments. There's a little graph on the bottom. You'll see like a little diagram of a larger compartment on the left and a smaller compartment on the right. And you can individually set those all the way from 68 to -4 degrees. I'm going to set the refrigerator side for 38, and then I'm going to set the freezer side for 0. I'm outside and the temperature is about 80 degrees. I'm going to time how long it takes to get down to temperature, but the compressor is kicked on. We're using about 62, 63 watts. Most of that power is going to the compressor and a little bit to the battery. At the 21-minute mark, our temperature in the refrigerator compartment is 47 and in the freezer 31. So at about 37 minutes is when the left side got to its 38 degrees temperature, and it's still going down a little bit. So I imagine this goes from side to side. I'll keep a better eye on this after I do some more testing with it. This is just a few first observations. Once at the desired temperature, the wattage clicked down, and I believe it is only charging the battery right now. If you go into the charge settings on the display, you have a choice between high, medium, and low. Those settings will monitor the voltage coming in, so if you're using your car battery, it will examine the voltage, and if it gets down to a certain level, it'll stop so it doesn't kill your car's battery. As I said, the reason I got this was to take it down to Southern Ohio where we were rebuilding down there, so let's take it down there and do some testing. Okay, so I'm down here in Southern Ohio. I have the Newair 48 quart electric cooler. It has a freezer side and a refrigerator side, or it could be both freezer or it could be both refrigerator. Just depends how you want to set it up. You set the temperature for 2 separate compartments. You can go down all the way down to -4. So I packed this last night, and one of the nice advantages I can see with this now is that when we would go on a long trip, we would always hold off packing the cooler to the very last minute because you didn't want to waste your ice. You wanted to keep your cooling time as long as possible. Usually you want to get an early start in the morning when you're taking off on a trip, and that always meant that you were packing the cooler in the morning. And that was just one of the things that would always bog you down, because then you're scrambling to make sure, are you remembering everything you need for the meals that you planned on making? And did you get everything out of the refrigerator transferred into your cooler? But now, the night before, I was able to pack this up. I plugged it into an AC outlet. I started off on AC in my garage. I put it in our vehicle, and then I was able to pack it, get it down to the temperature I wanted. So I brought some ice cream down here, which you could never do with a cooler. And we're going to see a little bit later just if the ice cream stayed hard packed or if the container got soft. Right now the temperatures are reading 8 degrees. I have a little bit of sun shining down it, but it's saying 8 degrees on the freezer side, 39 on the refrigerator side. So as I said, I started off with AC power in the car, so I'm not wasting any battery or anything like that. I basically transferred the AC cable, took off the AC, unplugged it, and then I just plugged it into the vehicle I was coming down in and plugged it into the cigarette lighter. Fortunately, we have one in the back by the rear compartment of the hatch, so we just plugged it into that, and I stayed on that power the whole time. Once I got down here, we've torn this cabin down. There used to be a cabin down back here, so we're off grid now, and there's no power. There's no power off of that pole. We're going to start rebuilding a place down here, but for now, when we come down to do some work, I had to come down and meet some contractors this morning, and then I wanted to cut the grass and take care of a few other things. So it was nice to bring this cooler down here, and I've been running that off of a portable power station. Now, there's a couple other options you could do. You could do solar panels, or you could do a built-in battery. And I did opt for the built-in battery. That is $199 if you want to buy this built-in battery. It's nice, compact, and it's convenient. And what that will give you is somewhere in between 4 to 8 hours of cooling. It just depends on the weather. So if it's extremely warm, you're looking more at the 4-hour side. And then if you're not too terribly warm, like in the 70s or a little bit lower, you're probably looking at more of an 8-hour extended period with just that battery. So that can get you pretty far. If you plug in a solar panel into this, it's going to keep this going during the daytime and then trickle charging that battery also. So that battery could get you through the night and then maybe start that cycle over again. You really only need a 100-watt solar panel. Newair does sell a solar panel on their website, so if you want to keep everything all encompassed and easy to use, but you're going to probably pay a little bit more than if you were to go out and buy a 100-watt solar panel somewhere else. Same thing with the battery. I myself, the battery is nice and convenient, and that's a good option to have, but I think for $200, I'm looking at maybe spending a couple more bucks and just getting a portable power station that you could use to power this either DC or AC. And then you could also charge some other things off of that portable power station, your devices. Now this does have a USB outlet on here, so if you do want to charge your phone, you can do that. There's one USB outlet on the side. Solar charging is here. It's a barrel connection type, but all in all, it's been pretty seamless with my transition from plugging it into the AC, plugging it into the car, and periodically using the battery. And now I'm using a power station. There's some solar panels set up. I have a 200-watt setup going right now, which has kept everything at 100%. I've been running this cooler, I've been running Starlink up on the roof, and I've been running a few other things, a trickle charger for the lawnmower, and some things to charge my cameras and stuff like that. It's a good sunny day though, cloudy day, your mileage may vary. One other scenario I see this good for is if you have a power failure in an emergency. Now I know you can't fit your whole refrigerator in here, but what you can do, if you do have coolers, you can go with the ice and use your cooler to keep your refrigerator type stuff cool, because that doesn't need to freeze. And then you could take your freezer items, which are not going to fare well in a cooler with ice, and turn both sides of this onto the freezer, and you can store all of your frozen foods on both sides of this cooler. Use a solar panel or your car or a portable power station, and at least try to keep your frozen goods from perishing. Using this on my power stations when I've been watching this, most of the time the draw has only been somewhere hovering around 23 to 30 watts, whether I was using AC power on the power station or plugging it into the DC outlet. They were both about the same. There is an eco mode on here, which maybe you can conserve and conserving a little bit more energy. I've been using this handle. I've been dragging it around through the gravel back and forth, trying to keep it in the shade and dragging it into the shed and then out of the shed, up and down my driveway, and it's held up well. Seeing that these have electronics in there, and there's a compressor that's made by LG inside here, you still want to take care of this, and you don't want to beat the crap out of it. You don't want to knock it down, you don't want to drop it, you don't want it falling off the back of your tailgate. The compressor is running right now, but you can barely hear it. It's pretty quiet when a compressor motor is running, so if you thought about having this maybe in a tent or your camper or a camper van, and keeping it inside there and concerned about this thing clicking on and off and waking you up at night. But out here today, it's about an 83, 84 degree day. Sometimes this is in the sun a little bit. Right now I'm reading 0 degrees on the freezer, and I'm reading 40 degrees on the refrigerator side. And that just varies. It's not always going to keep the constant temperature you're set for. It's almost like a thermostat where there's a couple degrees on either side before the compressor clicks on and clicks off. All right, so I'm going to fire up that grill probably one last time before the excavators knock it over in the next week or so. I got some Italian sausage in here. I'm going to cook up some sausage sandwiches, and then I'm going to have a little bit of ice cream to test that out. It's been in here for more than 24 hours, and we'll see if that ice cream stayed hard packed. Okay, so it seems to be at the perfect temperature. It's not too hard that you're breaking a spoon trying to get it out, and it's not too soft like a soft serve ice cream cone. So that's pretty cool to be able to take some freezer type items on your next outdoor excursion. So I just wanted to share this with you. I appreciate everybody watching. Hope you enjoy and subscribe to these videos. Click on that little bell when you want to know when a new one is coming out, and keep an eye on it. Take care, everybody.